Good morning, students. In today's session, we are going to see electrostatics introduction and Coulomb's law of electrostatics. Electrostatics, the introduction to electrostatics. So, what is meant by an electrostatics? It is a branch of physics in which your static electric field produces static electric charge. There are two fields which you can experience. One is your static field and another one is your dynamic field. In electrostatics, you can experience static electric field that are produced by the static electric charge, and also it is a branch of physics where we will be reading it about the static electric field. And this electrostatics will play a vital role in our day-to-day life. The various applications of your electrostatics are photocopiers, defibrillators, paint spraying, electrostatic precipitators, and some more examples is also there under electrostatics. So the computer peripheral devices include liquid crystal display, keyboard, touchpads, which works on electrostatic principles. And we have some more examples under agricultural activities like spraying to plants, sorting the seeds, then electronic capacitors, electronic components such as capacitors, resistors. Also, this also function based on the electrostatic principle. So, wherever you have in our day-to-day life, whatever applications you take, so it is all working under electrostatic principle. Next one, electrostatic is nothing but study of phenomena that occur when there are no moving charge. That is, only static charges will be read. The concept of static charge will be taken into account. So charges reach their equilibrium position because the electric force is extremely strong, because it is not moving, right? So the charges will reach its equilibrium position at a fast rate as the electric force is extremely strong. Then the mathematical methods of electrostatics makes it possible to calculate the distribution of electric field and of electric potential from the known configuration of charges, conductors and insulators. And also we have the energy to be considered in the electric field that are produced by the assembly of charges. Here charges, in the sense, it is not one charge. We have a mass of charges. So the energy to be considered that are residing on the electric field that should be produced by this assembly of charges. And finally the energy can be stored in the capacitor, and also the energy required to charge the device is the electrostatic energy of the electric field. Now we'll consider the concept of like charges and like charges and unlike charges. So where we can frame the Coulomb's laws of electrostatics. It has got two laws. That is Coulomb's laws of electrostatics. The first law is going to be like charges repel each other and unlike charges is going to attract each other. So here we have shown an example of like charges. So where the charges are distributed, you have plus. So it means that it is going to be the like charges. Therefore the charge it is going to repel each other. And here also it is going to be repulsion force. The force created between these two charges is a repulsive force. And here it is minus q, and here also it is minus q. It is also like charges. Therefore the force experienced between these two charges is going to be a repulsive force. Whereas here it is positive and negative. So it is going to produce an attractive force. Next, under Coulomb's law of electrostatics, here you can see it is positive q and this is also positive q. This particular charge will experience one particular force, and this charge will also experience one particular force. So this force will get attracted. Suppose if you have plus and here if you have minus, these two forces will get attracted towards each other unless it is unlike poles. Suppose if you have like poles, the force experienced by this particular charge will repel the force experienced by this charge. Therefore, it experiences a repulsive force. So, the Coulomb's first law is going to deal about the like charges repel each other and unlike charge attract each other. Like charges will produce a repulsive force, whereas unlike charge will produce a attractive force. Coulomb's law of electrostatics. This is going to be your second law. So to understand the Coulomb's law of electrostatics, first we have to consider two charge. You consider two charge. You consider the point A and point B. Here you are going to have one point charge and here you are going to have one point charge. These 2 point charges are displaced at a distance of r meter. So here I can write the distance r as r-a-b or r-b-a, depending upon whether the vector is going to travel from A to B or it is going to travel from B to A. If the vector is going to travel from A to B, I can write the distance vector as r-a-b. Suppose if the vector is going to travel from B to A, I can write it as r-b-a. It is your distance vector. The unit vector is represented with a letter called A. Similarly, here if the vector is going to travel from A to B, it is going to be AAB. If the vector is going to travel from B to A, then it is going to be ABA vector. So here to explain the Coulomb's law, you are going to consider 2 point charges separated with a distance of r meter. Two tiny small objects, that is this Q and this Q. Both are two tiny small objects. So when you are keeping two charges, then there should be a force of attraction or force of repulsion, depending upon whether it is going to be the like charge or unlike charge. Therefore, the total force experienced between these 2 points is directly proportional to the magnitude of the charge available, that is Q1. Suppose if this is going to be Q1, if this is going to be Q2, the force experienced is directly proportional to charge on each object. So if this is going to be the object A, if this is going to be the object B, the object A is having the charge of Q1, object B is having a charge of Q2. Therefore, the force experienced between object A and object B is directly proportional to the charge available at each object and inversely proportional to square of the distance. Why we are saying it as inversely proportional to square of the distance? In the sense, you consider one magnet. So when you have a magnet, so these two magnets, suppose if this is any pole, you can keep it, whether it is a like pole or unlike pole. So when you keep the magnet closer to each other, it experiences a force and there exhibit a force of attraction or force of repulsion at a faster rate. As you move the magnet far away from this, the force of attraction or the force of repulsion experienced between these two magnets is going to cause a reduce. Therefore, the force between the two magnets will get reduced as the distance between the magnet is increased. In the same way, when the two charges are moving apart, the distance is going to get elongated and therefore the force experienced is going to get reduced. Therefore, Coulomb's law of electrostatics states that the magnitude of electrostatic force of attraction, that is force of attraction or force of repulsion, is proportional to the product of magnitude of charges, that is the product of magnitude of charges Q1, Q2, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. To remove this proportionality constant, I am going to multiply it with a constant called K. That is, K is your proportionality constant, Q1, Q2 divided by R square. So, when doing so, the force of attraction or the force of repulsion is going to be F is proportional to Q1 into Q2 divided by R square. To remove this proportionality constant, we are going to add a parameter called K. The K value is nothing but 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon. So, K is nothing but 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon. Substituting the value of K here, substituting the value of K in this equation, you will get F is equal to Q1 into Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon R square, where epsilon is nothing but permittivity. Permittivity means this epsilon is going to be, epsilon means it is permittivity, which is nothing but epsilon naught into epsilon R, where epsilon naught is your absolute permittivity. Absolute permittivity, epsilon R is your relative permittivity. This is equal to 1 at air or vacuum. So depending upon whether it is air or vacuum, this epsilon r is going to get vary. Depending upon the dielectric material, it is going to get vary. So I can write it as F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon, which is equal to epsilon is epsilon naught into epsilon r, and absolute permittivity, it is going to be 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12. So this is going to be your Coulomb's law of electrostatics. So if you have only one charge, then the force of attraction or the force of repulsion is going to happen like this. Suppose if you have n number of charges, you consider more number of charges are available. At that moment, you need to obtain the expression for the force acting on a point charge of q coulomb due to n number of point charges. You consider n number of point charges. This is going to be point charge number 1, 2, 3, and you have n number of point charges. So this n number of point charges is going to experience as a force at point P. So this point here we need to consider which is your cause and which is your effect. Suppose you consider I'm giving 2 points. I'm telling you have a charge Q1 at point A and charge Q2 at point B. Now identify the force. Find the force at point B. If I'm asking you to identify the point, identify the force at point B, then this is going to be your effect and this is going to be your cause. Where exactly we are going to identify the parameter, that is going to be your effect, and the rest all other points is going to be your cause. Same thing, suppose if I am giving 2 point charges placed at point P and point Q, and point X is also there. Okay, here if I am asking you to identify the force at point X, then this particular point will become effect and the other 2 points is going to become cause. So it means that due to point P, one force will exerted at point X. Due to point Q, another force will get exerted at point X. Therefore, the net force acting at point X will be the vector force acting due to point P and the vector force acting due to point Q. So this is the notation. Now if I wanted to write what is the force exerted at point X, so where you are going to identify the parameter, that is going to be your effect. So here I can, F is the notation F is the notation that is represented for the force. So F. Now suffix should be cos number. So FPX, FQX, because the unit vector will be in the direction like this, because of this point charge P, what is the force exerted over here. So I can write it as FPX and here I can write it as FQX. So in the given diagram you have n number of point charges, that is 1, 2, 3 and up to n. We need to identify the force at this particular point. Therefore you will be getting n number of forces, that is the net force acting at point P is equal to the force acting at point P due to point 1. So it can be written as F1P plus force acting at point P due to point charge number 2. The third one, due to this point charge 3, one force will be acting at point P. So it will be F3P and it goes on till FNP. So we know that according to Coulomb's law, we can write F is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon r square. This r has to be written what the distance between the charge, that is the distance between the cause and effect. So the distance between the cause and effect is nothing but d1p. So for this F1p is nothing but, so here for F1p all these things I have explained, the total force. Here F1p is nothing but the charge available at point 1 is Q1. So Q1, the charge available at point P is Q. So Q1 into Q divided by 4 pi epsilon, it is going to be constant, d1p square. d1p is nothing but distance between the point charge 1 and point P. and the unit vector will be in the direction from 1 to p. So you can write it as A1p vector plus Q2, the point charge available. The point charge available at second point is going to be Q2, and the charge available at point P is Q. So we can write it as Q2 into Q divided by 4 pi epsilon D2P square into A2P vector. Likewise, we need to write it for n number of point charges. Next, if you take a common point, you will be getting it as Q divided by, in all the terms, Q by 4 pi epsilon is going to be common. So take it as a common. You will be getting I is equal to 1 to n Qi divided by dip square into aip vector. So this is the net force acting at point P due to n number of point charges. Thank you students. In the next class, we will solve some problems under this.